Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today on the website of French auction portal Informal, so we're going to have a look at their latest auction regarding musical instruments. So this particular auction is happening on the 1st of June. It's the 30th of May today, so only a couple of days left. Buyer's premium for this auction is 24%. This is a French auction, so bear that in mind. Any import, export fees, all of that kind of stuff, CITES regulations if you're outside of France, so check all the terms and conditions. If you've been following the channel recently, you'll see that we've done 2 other auctions by Vichy. They usually have groups of 3 auctions and they usually go up progressively in value. So this is the high end stuff here. We've looked at the very low end, the middle tier stuff, and now we're looking at the high end stuff. Slightly less lots than the last couple of auctions, 396, but still quite a lot. So we are going to just take an overview of this auction. We're not going to look at everything. It probably means we're not going to look at too many bows, in all honesty, but I will try and look as much as I can. If there's lots of kind of French stuff, I might well just skip over that depending on what kind of stuff it is, but feel free to let me know in the comments if you have any information on any of the lots. And just to say, if you do enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing, like or comment, because it really does help. So yeah, without further ado, let's crack on and see what we have. Just to add that I'll try and do my best to work out what's being kind of said about the instruments in French, because the Interranchers have this weird translator blocker, but if needed I can translate specific things, although it looks like we're getting a bit of kind of English translation here already. So they're saying here this is the head of a violin by Lorenzo Storioni, Cremona 1780. Interesting. It says a similar scroll is pictured in the book The Late Cremonese Violin Makers by Dimitri Gindin, page 152. So that's pretty interesting. Interesting mother and pearl kind of inlay on the side. So that's quite curious. 8 to 10,000 euros. So that is pretty significant. But then again, if you've got a Storioni violin without a head, then that is going to help you a bit. Oh, they've actually pictured it as well. So very, very similar. So that is quite a curious lot there to start off with. So very interesting. We've got a violin by Albert Deplay there, but we're going to have to go past. Let's have a look at this German violin, 1750 to 1760. It's got a Steiner label, very common. 2 to 3,000. Definitely needs quite a bit of work. Not the most exciting looking thing, but definitely interesting. French violin there, 1900. We'll go past that. Derazi as well. Let's have a look at this violin. Violin by Bernard Anquiom, Miracle 1770, 1500 to 2000. Interesting looking violin, definitely in need of a fair bit of TLC. And now violin Amédée Dieudonné, sorry, 2.5 to 3000, 1947. We saw a couple of these in the other auctions. This one is a bit of a high level there, 2.5 to 3000. Few more French violins here. I do like the Calcin school violin, so quickly look at this violin by Nicolas Francois Calcin, Neuve Chateau, 1863 to 4 there. I think that's quite a nice looking violin. Needs a bit of work here and there, but I think that is fairly nice. See what else. You've got a few more French violins here. So there is a lot of interesting stuff on here, so I definitely recommend having a look at this auction yourself. Violin by Augustin Chapuis, Miracle 1770 to 1775, 2 to 3. I do like the Chapuis workshop stuff as well. It's quite nice. Let's see what else. Lots of French stuff here, more Calcin. Let's have a look at this violin by Georges Chanot, 1835 to 1840, Magini level there, 369. Really is a crazy length of back. Really did to make some massively long violins, but 6 to 8 there. Will be interesting to see if that sells or not. More French stuff here. Another German violins. Like I said, lots of interesting stuff in this auction, but we can't look at everything. German violin from 1800. Interesting kind of varnish on that. 2 to 2.5. Let's have a look at this violin, probably French. Cracks and some restorations. So it looks like for this higher end auction they're automatically translating the English anyway, so that's kind of handy, we don't need to worry about that. Let's have a look at this, an interesting violin by Pierre Sylvestre, made in Lyon, 1848, Guarneri model. Okay, neck plate detached from the neck. It's a quite nice looking violin, nice varnish, 20 to 25,000. That's a serious instrument there. Now let's move on. We've got a few bows here. We'll just pick out a few interesting bows. I think we've got to have a look at this violin bow by Nicolas Malin, 1855, 15 to 20,000 euros there. It's a pretty significant bow there. Let's see what else we've got here. Interesting viola bow here by Georges-Émile Bargenet with tortoiseshell and gold mounted, so that's going to be interesting for CITES, the tortoiseshell frog. That's one of these Violin bows I think is made out of metal and out of steel. It's had a bit of a head break, a re-weld there, so that's curious. 2 to 3,000. Head later reattached there, silver mounted. Interesting bows. See if there's anything else. This is a nice looking violin. Cello bow. So a cello bow by Etienne Pajot, 1930, 15 to 18,000 there. Interesting. Let's see. Violin bow by Charles-François Pacat, 1900, 8 to 10,000. It's got a little bit of issues here, some splits, cracks and chips to frog. Popular maker for sure. And let's have a look at this bow here. Violin bow by Émile Auguste Houchard there, 1935, 6 to 8. Moving on a bit here, a couple of other bows. We should probably look at the super high-end stuff here. Interesting violin bow by Francois Lupeau II, 1820, 20 to 25,000 on. That's interesting chamfers and work on the head on that bow. That is quite curious there for sure. So that's an interesting one. Let's see what else we've got here. Gustave Violin. Let's have a look at this French violin, School of Salomon, Paris, 1762 to 3000. Well, I'm a big fan of the Salomon workshop, so it's an interesting violin, a little bit plain, but still curious. Let's have a look at this violin, French 18th century violin in the style of Ouvrard, with the Gersan label. That's quite a nice figure to the back there. Restorations they're saying on the front and the headstock. I think that's quite a nice nice violin. Let's see more, lots of French stuff here. Got a violin by Leopold Vidam, Nuremberg, 1772. Lovely kind of wood there, nice varnish. Nice scroll, that's a nice instrument, 9 to 11,000 there. A few more French violins here. More Cassin, there's a violin of François Hippolyte Cassin, 1880. Needs a bit of TLC there. A rare violin by Pierre Hell, Lille, 1899. 356 length of back there. Popular maker, not my kind of thing really, with this deep red varnish, but maker that sells well. A few more kind of interesting looking instruments. Let's have a look at this violin. Violin, first part of the 20th century, probably Italian, small hairline crack on the back, 354. That's a really beautiful back there. Varnish is a little bit odd, but yeah, interesting violin, interesting scroll. 6 to 8. Curious. Let's have a look at this violin here. Viola by Charles Enel, Paris, 1930 to 1940, 2 to 3,000. Pretty serious kind of crackle on the varnish there, all over. You can see. I quite like that look, but to a lot of people that's probably really not good, but I quite like it. It looks quite nice. 2 to 3,000 there. Let's see what else we've got here. Violin by Francois Lupeau, Orléans, 1775-1780, 15 to 20, 357 length of back. Varnish, I think, needs a bit of attention on this one, but otherwise nice enough. A few more kind of French violins here, some nice provincial stuff. Let's have a look at this violin by Roger and Maxime Millant, Paris, 1945, numbered 210, 5 to 6,000 there. Not so exciting, I would be honest and say. Interesting. Violin by Riccardo Genovese, Montiglio, 1926. Interesting. 40 to 45,000. That's a pretty serious instrument there. Interesting turns on the scroll. And some more bows, I think. Let's see if there's anything super fancy. Let's have a look at this violin bow by Nicolas Rémy Maire, 1855, 10 to 12,000. Signed Viome à Paris. That's interesting. See if there's anything else. A few things here. Let's have a look at this violin bow by Émile Auguste Houchard, 1925, 5 to 6. And what else do we have here? Got a violin bow by Émile Auguste Houchard Fille, 1925, 6 to 8. Interesting. Let's see what else we have here. Quite a few interesting things. Have a lone frog and button. Interesting frog and button of a cello bow by Etienne Pajot, made around 1835. Interesting, 7 to 8. It is quite interesting. Also will have CITES issues there. Right, we've got some more super high-end stuff here. We have a violin bow by Eugene Nicolas Sartre, 1940. Slight chip on the frog, very good condition. This is the maker of the moment, Sartre. This is what people are looking for. A few other nice bows. I mean, everything in this auction so far is pretty good. We just can't spend 10 hours looking through all of it, sadly. Violin bow by Victor Francois Fetique, 8 to 10, 1920. It's a nice kind of view at some finer French bows. Some other, wow, I think we're going to have to look at this Dominique Picat here. So they're saying a very beautiful violin bow by Dominique Picat, 1845. There you go. Or very fine even. Later ferrule, small chips here and there, good condition. There you go. That's 60 to 70,000 euros there. It's pretty substantial. Got some interesting cellos here. Let's have a look at this. Cello Mirko, end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. 3 to 4,000 there. Got a couple of other cellos here. Maybe we should have a look at this one here. Cello by Delaine Carbonard, Mirko, 1992, 4 to 5. Let's see what else we have here. Cello there by Charles Flambeau, Mirko, 1820 to 1830. Soundpost crack to the front that has been repaired. That's an interesting F-hole position for that cello. They've got lots of pictures, including internal, so they're putting a bit more effort for this these ones. Curious F-hole position. Another cello here, Mircore 1820, 1830. 9 to 11. German cello there. JTL cello. Let's actually have a look maybe at this German cello. 20th century. Steiner label. Oh, another kind of horrible head there. Okay, so now we have a cello by Sebastian Auguste Darroux, Paris 1907, number 184, 30 to 35,000 there. Looks in fairly nice condition there. Some restoration of the front, including bass bar crack. That's unfortunate, so that's going to affect the value fairly substantially, so that's unfortunate. See what else we have here. An interesting and rare cello by Bernard Millant, Paris 1956, number 79, 25 to 35,000 euro. It's quite a nice wood on the back there. Really nice wood on the scroll, nice varnish. It's quite a nice looking instrument. Let's have a look at cello by Nicolas Calçat, Neufchâteau, 1850. This looks like it needs a lot of wear. Curious back there. That's interesting. Some post crack and bass bar cracks on the front and on the ribs. That needs substantial amount of restoration. This instrument. The back is pretty curious, eh? Let's see what else. There really is a lot of stuff to look at here. Cello by Sylvestre Mocatel, Paris 1909, number 651, 20 to 25,000 there. Cello by Jacques Fustier, Lyon 1979, 8 to 10. Let's see. Right, wow. An interesting and rare viola by Luigi Marconcini, Ferrara, 1777. Interesting. Some restorations to the front, including some post crack. Some restorations on the ribs, some worm. Certificate of Etienne Vatelot of 1973. Interesting. So curious looking viola. What is the size? 416. Really nice size as well for a modern player. So nice looking instrument there. 100 to 120,000 euros. And we're back onto some bows. So let's see. Viola bow there by Émile Auguste Houchard, 1955, 12 to 15. Only right that we look at a nice viola bow. And a violin bow by Victor Francois Fetique, 1920, 5 to 6 there. And let's see. Right, okay, a violin bow by Pierre Simon, 1860 there. Small bit of kind of, well, quite a significant wear there, I'd say, and definitely in need of some restoration, but it's a fairly nice bow. 25 to 30,000 euros there. Violin bow by Joseph Arthur Vigneron, 1890, 8 to 10 there. Gradually moving on here. Try and get as many things in as possible without going too overboard, but we have to obviously look at the high-end stuff here. Rare cello bow by Jean-Pierre Marie Pessoit, probably completely killing that name as always. 1850, 50 to 60,000 euros there, from the collection of Luthier Maurice Breuas, I think we saw some stuff in the other auction from that same maker. So that's an interesting bow for sure. Some other interesting instruments here. Let's have a look at this. Violin by Leon Fischescher. That's really terrible pronunciation. That's a weird name. Paris 1908, 7,000 to 8,000 euros. Two small cracks on the front. Not 100% sold on that one. Let's see what else we've got here. We've got to look at some French stuff, otherwise we'll offend everyone. Violin by Honoré Darazi, Mirecourt, 1860, 358 length of back. Looks in fairly good condition, 8 to 10. Fair condition, okay. Interesting. Lots of other interesting stuff here for sure. We should probably look at Garageon. Violin by Joseph Philippe Garageon, Mirecourt, 1845 to 50 there. 361 length of back, cracks on the front and missing corner. 6 to 8 there. Nice back there. Looks like the typical Garageon kind of stuff. This looks like a pretty bizarre looking thing, so let's have a look at that. Italian violin from the beginning of the 20th century with a Seraphim label, 357 length of back. Definitely curious there. 3,000 to 4,000 euros. Not entirely convinced of that one either. Okay, Viola by Mario Garda in Mantua, 1970. Interesting to see if that sells. Looks very tidy workmanship though. Let's see, an interesting viola, France, 1760. That's quite nice. What's the length? 403. That's not a bad length as well for or size for a viola. We've got another violin by Augustin Chapuis there, 1770, 1775, 360 length of back. He needs a bit of attention. I would quite like to own a Chapuis at some point. Quite a lot of Roger and Max Millant stuff in this auction. We've got another violin, 1948. Made for Armand Torgman. Okay, interesting. Nice back on that actually. I suspect that this instrument probably looks a lot nicer in person than it does in the pictures. 6 to 8. Just have that feeling. More Corsair stuff here. That Joseph Hell. Let's have a look. Numbered 133. 358 length of back. It's again kind of quite nice varnish. Some other interesting French violins here. Let's have a look at this violin by Jean Petitcolas. Quite nice back on that. 2 to 3. Let's see what's going on here. An exceptional violin by Ferdinand Galliano, Naples, 1782. Okay. Let's see. Original neck. Wow, 2 cracks, 1 installed front. Certificate from Etienne Vatelot. Okay, price on request. Interesting. Galliano with its original neck. That is pretty rare, I would say. So that's definitely quite curious. Yep, that'll be interesting to see how that goes at auction. Lots of different UV pictures here, which is pretty curious there. Interesting scroll. So that is definitely interesting, probably worth a substantial amount with its original neck. So that is definitely interesting. We're on to more bows here, so let's see. Violin bow by George Frederick Schwartz, 1840, 6 to 7. Definitely needs a bit of work there. Lots of other nice bows here. Cello bow by André Vignon-Fille, 10 to 12. Let's have a look at this. Violin bow by Jean-Joseph Martin, 1880. It's interesting kind of tortoiseshell frog there. They don't seem to be mentioning the tortoiseshell for whatever reason. Definitely in need of urgent repair. Lots of other bows. So we've got another fine French bow. Viola bow by Joseph Henri, 1865. 50 to 60,000 there. Good condition. Sold with frog and extra button. Made in copy. Really not a bad idea. Some more bows here. So we're moving on. Trying to look at a few more things than normal for this, because this is the top tier auction. Violin bow by Émile Auguste Houchard here, a 1930, 7 to 8. That looks in pretty nice condition there. Small wear, not on the back of the stick, small dent on the front of the head. Otherwise, good condition. Another very high-end bow here. Cello bow by Dominique Pacat, 1845. Really nice sweeping head there. Unsoldered button front ferrule, split and hairline crack, fair condition, with additional copy frog. Okay, interesting. Some more instruments here. Let's have a look at this. A composite violin with a Tononi label, 18th century Italian style. Head replaced. That's quite interesting. 324. A few more French violins here. Violin by Caresse en Français, Paris 1916, number 488, 12 to 15. Once again, that kind of very dark red of that period in France. Another Hell, this is a Pierre Hell violin here, 8 to 10,000. Nice looking back there, interesting varnish. 8 to 10. Let's have a look actually at Leon Bernardel, Paris 1927, 357 length of back, 5 to 7. Needs a bit of TLC, but quite a nice looking violin. Right, an Italian violin supposedly. Italian violin made around 1950, 1960, fair condition. 356. And let's have a look at this. An interesting viola head by Lorenzo and Tommaso Carcassi, Florence 1770. Interesting. Yours for £3,000 to £4,000 there. So that's quite curious looking. Let's see what else we've got here. A few other kind of fancy stuff here. We have a violin by Antonio Scarbi in Rome around 1900. With a label for Scarbi, 15 to 18,000, 354 length of back here, so that is pretty curious. Quite a nice kind of scroll there, so that is definitely interesting. And then we have an interesting violin by Charles-François Gand, 1836 of Paris, 20 to 25,000. That looks like quite a nice violin there. 357. Another one with a Vatlo certificate. And let's have a look at here. Violin by Andrea Castagneri, Paris, 1740, 1745. 363 length of back, 628. Definitely in need of some work in that one. Another cello here, School of Jules Grandjean, 1870, 12 to 15,000 there. Right, we're definitely moving into some high-end stuff here. Violin by Jules Galliard, 10 to 12, Miracle 1860. Violin by Émile Germain, Paris, 1879, 7 to 8. Nice back and varnish on that. 360 length of backs, getting on slightly larger size. Okay, more heads, more decapitated instruments. A cello head by Tommaso Ebbula, Naples 1760. Okay, small wormholes there. 6 to 8,000 is the estimate on that. Let's see what else we've got here. A viola with a Paoletti label, 418 length of back, which is a good size. Violin by Elifie Poisson, Lyon, 1912, 68. That's kind of interesting. Looks like the button is quite off center of just the way the join is. It's very confusing to the eye. Right, interesting. A violin head by Spirito Sorsano from 1720, 6 to 8. This is a kind of a more obscure maker, so that's curious to see that here. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like from the front. Yeah, curious head on the Sorsano. Is an interesting maker, and the instruments are quite a little bit different to some of the other Italian makers, so interesting scroll. Right, we've got another fancy instrument here, a rare and exceptional viola by Nicolas Lupo, Paris 1808, one of the great French makers. So that is curious. Really nice back there. This instrument belonged to the great Swiss luthier and expert Pierre Verdudez. Okay, interesting. So this is another high-end instrument here. So they're doing quite well in this sale. There's some very nice instruments. Got a Sebastian Philippe Bernardel, 1864, 25 to 30,000 there. So it's again a nice instrument there. Wow, we're really in the thick of it now. Violin by Gand Frère, Paris 1865, 18 to 20,000. An Italian violin, late 19th century, replaced head. Yeah, interesting looking instruments, some of these, 10 to 12. Violin by Gandon Bernardel, Paris 1886, 12 to 15. I think these are quite good for concert musicians. These particular instruments are quite popular. Okay. Violin by Matteo Goffrilla, Venice 1725 to 1730. Interesting, 80 to 100,000 there. Head replaced more recently, various restorations, 355 length of back. Instrument played by Maxime Tholance, Vatlo certificate again. Nice back on that, it's a nice looking instrument. Yep, some interesting things in this auction for sure. Now we're back onto bows. Might have to be a bit ruthless on the bows. Cello bow by Emile Francois Houchard, 8 to 10 there. Let's see what else we've got here. Violin bow by Victor Francois Fetique, 1925, 10 to 12. Let's see what else we've got here. An interesting violin bow by Etienne Pajot, 1820, 35 to 40,000. Ivory mounted there. Still got quite a lot of things to go through here. So another high-end bow here. Violin bow by Dominique Pacat again, 1850, 40 to 60. A lot of Pacats there. Looks like it's worn through the top. Yeah, here it looks like there's maybe a bit of an issue here. Let's see if there is. Marks on the eyelet, screw mortise wear, dents at top of head, wrist, stick splits, restored frog. So looks like it's been through the wars a bit, but still has a good value there. An interesting viola by Onorato Gragnani there, Livorno, 1800, 50 to 55,000, 394 length of back, a little bit smaller than some. Another Corsa violin here, 1880. That's quite a nice back on that, 4 to 5. Yeah, it's a nice looking instrument, that one. Nice example. Interesting grain choice on this instrument. Okay, JTL cello. I think we can go past that. Let's have a look at this viola by Nicolas Jomier, Miracle, 1770 to 1775, 4 to 6, 409 length of back. That's pretty good. Good length for a modern viola. And let's see what else we've got here. Let's have a look at this Paul Jambard, violin by Paul Jambard, Paris, 1902, 10 to 12. Once again, it's got this kind of strong red varnish. Okay, a violin by Matthias Hoffmans, 1690 to 1700, with a Marti label there. Antwerp, replaced head, some other restorations, so interesting violin here. 12 to 15,000. Interesting old case there. Let's have a look at a cello, Miracle, 1870, School of Jules Galliard, 10 to 12. Wow, extreme craquelure on the varnish there. Let's have a look at this. Violin, 18th century, inspired by the School of Brescia, bearing a facsimile Maggini label. Head more recent, 351. Callas collection. Interesting instrument, 5 to 6. Let's see what else we got here. Another cello, German school, 10 to 15,000. Let's see what else, what other pictures we got. That's an interesting picture. We've got some people in the background. Very good. Always curious sometimes about the back of, interesting bird's eye on the side there. Quite like pictures of the back of cello scrolls, I find quite interesting, but no such luck on this occasion. Right, 7/8 cello, German, 17th century School of Steiner. Okay, interesting. Oh, lion head, various restorations, including a soundpost crack on the back, 25 to 30. Okay, interesting. I'm curious to see this head, this lion's head. Okay, yeah, it's got that kind of Steiner style lion head. Not many pictures there, but curious. Oh, another Hoffman's violin there, 15 to 18. That's curious that there's two here. Head replaced. Right, that is quite unusual to see two Hoffman's violins in one place, 15 to 18. That is pretty curious. French violin, 1850. Honoré Darazi. I think the varnish needs a bit of adjustment. Looks like an interesting kind of modern arts piece at the moment. So that's curious. Interesting violin. Neapolitan School, 8 to 10. Okay. Let's see, we've got a big one here. Violin by Pietro Antonio Landolfi, Milan, 1760-1770. Okay. Restorations on the front soundpost crack, bass bar crack, ribs, restored head. Okay. With a box and invoice of John Arthur Beer, 1919. 356 length of back. Interesting. The image is a bit out of focus, but interesting looking varnish there. Nice scroll. It's a curious one. See if we can get the documents there. It's taking some good internal shots, which I think is a really good sign here. That's an interesting one. Lots of nice. Let's have a look at this bow. Viola bow by François Jude Goliard, 1840, 324. Quite like the looks of that. That's quite nice. Let's see. Wow, that's interesting. Cello bow by Nicolas Rémy Maire, 1845. I think it needs some work there. A bit of restoration on the button and the head as well. But 30 to 35, pretty substantial. Violin bow by Joseph Alfred Lamy Père, 10 to 12. Okay. Violin bow by Etienne Pajot, 1835, 15 to 18,000. We continue. More bows here. We've got another high-end bow here. A rare violin bow by Etienne Pajot, 1820, 40 to 45,000. Okay, some more kind of French things. I feel like I should look at least one Colin Mazat violin, because there are a lot of Colin Mazat fans there. Charles Lewis Colin Mazat, 1911, 223. That one not the most exciting example out there, but at least we looked at one. Actually, having said that, there's probably a better Colin Mazat down here. Charles Jean-Baptiste Colin Mazat Père, Paris 1887 at 10 to 12. That is slightly kind of better level there. Got a few other interesting violins here. Violin by Paul Cowell, Paris 1945, 6 to 8. 361 length of back. Violin by Honoré Derazy, Miracle, 15 to 18,000, 1835 to 1840. Interesting back there, interesting kind of twisting figure there. Let's see what else we've got here. Got a violin by Gustave Bernardel, Paris 1898, 12 to 15. Not super excited by that one. A violin by Etienne Vertlot, Paris 1983, 8 to 10. Nice wood on the scroll. Let's see what else we've got here. I think we'll skip another Joseph Hell. Violin by Johannes Florenus Guidantus, Bologna 1740 to 1750, 60 to 65. One of the well-known Bolognese makers. Interesting. Some restoration, sound post crack and bass bar crack. Violin belonged to Mr. Miguel Candela. Interesting. Let's see what else we got here. Cello here, late 18th, early 19th century, head replaced. 8 to 10 there. Let's have a look at another violin by Joseph Grandjean here, Miracle, 1855, 10 to 12. 360. Right, a viola, probably by Johannes Georg Thier, Vienna, 1765, 1770. 401 length of back. It's not too bad. Okay, these are kind of nice 18th century French violins here. Not too expensive, 4 to 5. That one actually looks in okay condition. The bass there by JTL. Let's have a look, because we haven't seen any basses, or at least part of the body without the I know the neck is here, it's just separated, so it needs a lot of work there. That's a substantial restoration job for someone. Right, an Italian violin head, Milan, Testore family there, 18th century, 3,000 to 4,000 euros. So that is a very nice looking head there for sure. That's a very nice looking scroll. I do like that. Another Pierre Hell violin here, 12 to 15. They're all fairly similar looking, to be quite honest. Another Wooddown thing here, another contrabass, Paul Cowell. Okay, rare and interesting viola by Giovanni Francesco Presenda, Turin, 1826. Interesting, only 80 to 100,000 euros. There must be something wrong with this instrument, I would have thought. Rare and interesting viola by Giovanni Francesco Presenda, made in Turin, 1826. Small crack in the front, in the bottom nut, small crack to the F-hole, small original cleats on the back. Good condition, 394 with certificate from Marcatel and Deschamps. Okay, 394, I guess it's slightly smaller. I'm kind of surprised. That feels like a very low estimate for a Presenda viola. But that is interesting. Let's have a look at this. Violin by Domenico Rossi, 1904, 8 to 10 there. A few other bows here. Let's see what else we got. Okay, violin bow by Joseph Henri, 1850, 30 to 50,000. Let's see if we got anything else interesting here. So this violin bow by Joseph Alfred Lamipere, 7 to 8,000 there. Okay, interesting miniature bow there by Emile Auguste Houchard. Let's have a look at that because it's a bit crazy. 1930s in ivory. How bizarre that is. Pretty curious, isn't it? Completely out of ivory. Interesting. Some more bows here. Nothing too crazy. Okay, let's see. Right, another head here by Ebola, Naples, 1760. Fair condition, 4 to 6. Interesting, quite rough in a way. Okay, violin by Georges Chanot, so probably very long, 1840. Yeah, 368, really crazy size of some of these instruments by Georges Chanot. 5 to 6. Let's have a look at this. Violin scroll, probably Turin, in the style of rocker. Okay, 3 to 4,000 on that. Okay, let's have a look. Violin by Emile Germain, Paris, 1884, 7 to 8. It's again nothing too super exciting in my opinion. Some other stuff here. Let's see what else we can have a look at. Let's have a look at this cello by Labert Humbert Mirko, 1928, number 5716, 7 to 9,000. Looks pretty much as expected there. Let's have a look at this Nicholas Viome from Mirko, 4 to 5, Stentor Model 1, 1850. So this is the lower stuff, so we expect to see Stentor at the back of the scroll. Yeah, there you go, Stentor 1. This is the origin to the Stentor company, not the UK based company that you see now. Okay, violin by Claude Augustin Mirmont, Paris, 1875, 1880, 15 to 18,000. 359 length of back. Okay, an Italian viola scroll, School of Storioni, 3 to 4,000. Really, really curious collection of scrolls in this auction. Another Grand John there. Okay, so a violin by Marko Debrecevich, Cairo, I think 1960. Certificate of Dmitry Gindin. I've definitely seen Debrecevich violin recently. Not really my kind of thing, I'll be quite honest, but it's a popular maker. Violin Scroll by Nicholas Lupo there, 1800. 2 small cracks, 3 to 4. Let's see what else we've got here. Another case there. Okay, now we have an interesting violin by Giuseppe Catanari, Turin, 1730-1735. Okay. That's curious. Various restorations, including soundpost crack and bass bar crack. Interesting. Back to some more bows. Anything crazy on the bow front? Cello bow by Joseph Alfred Lamipere, 1900, 12 to 14,000. Okay, we're on to the final page now, so see if it's going to be bows or if there's going to be anything else. Cello bow by Dodd, 1800, in ivory there, 10 to 12,000. That's quite an elegant bow there. That's quite nice. Let's see what else we have. How much is left? I think we're at the end, so we can have a look at this final bow. Violin bow by Eugene Nicholas Sartori, 1940, 15 to 18,000 there. Small hairline crack and fill on the side of the head. Wear at the rear of the stick with a chip and small split. So, in any case, that is it. That is the end of the final Vichy auction, the top auction, as it were. Definitely a lot of interesting things like curious Storioni scrolls, all sorts of scrolls and fine Italian violins. So some really interesting stuff here. Definitely recommend checking it out yourself, because you really need to spend a lot of time looking through each one of these catalogues and looking at all the lots. Difficult to look at stuff properly just blitzing through it, so I'll put a link in the description as always, and I definitely recommend that you check it out. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching as always. I appreciate it, and feel free to comment or anything, and or email. So thanks a lot, take care, and goodbye.